Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Julia Alberg-Burbank, your worship associate for today. Before we begin, if you have any phones or things that might beep or tweet or whatever during the meeting, you might want to silence them for us. As we begin today's service, we acknowledge that we gather on the unceded lands of the Agua Caliente Band of the Kuya people, and we commit to grow in our understanding and relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. In this congregation, we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. You are welcome, no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age or your size, whether you're rich or poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from, whoever you love. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal here is to build a community centered in justice, in compassion, and in love. We are so glad you are with us today, whether you are here in the sanctuary or at home. Your presence is a blessing. As I tell my students, it wouldn't be the same without you here. In the spirit of rejoicing and joining together, I have asked Chris Hughes to light our biopot candle. Thank you so much. Please join me in the words on the screen. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our values so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail. Now, Reverend Ian will ring the Tibetan bowl, and we'll begin to deepen our focus.
Good morning again and welcome. I am the Reverend Ian Riddell. I have the honor and privilege of serving this congregation as its minister. Welcome to you today. I share these words by my colleague and friend, the Reverend Eric Hewitt. Welcome to this morning, to this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenge. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, how to create trust and compassion in one another. And so let us move into worship today, willing to be authentic, to be real with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all of its forms. Friends, will you rise in body or in spirit as we sing together our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life? For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good. and make our own days glad. For needs which is our high, we sing our thanks and praise. For all grant its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Now, if you would please join our voices together as Reverend Ian lights the chalice, and we say, may love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. The reflection that I've written for this week is called The Holy Mess of Growing Together. So let's be honest for a moment. Learning by yourself is incredibly convenient. You can read a book in your pajamas, as I am wont to do. You can listen to a podcast at double speed, which is something people much younger than me like to do. And you are always the smartest person in the room at that moment. There's no one to disagree with you, interrupt you, chew too loudly, irritate you. It's peaceful, it's controlled. And if we're being completely real, it's a little lonely. So when we step into a community like this one, we trade that tidy isolation for something beautifully chaotic. Learning in community is not a silent lecture hall. It is a potluck for the soul. You bring your hard-earned wisdom. Someone else brings a perspective you've never considered. In my daily life, like so many of you, I'm an educator, specifically a principal, and I get to walk classrooms, and I see firsthand the impact of learning together. The most joyful classrooms are the ones where the teachers have collaborated with each other, and in turn, students are working together, believing in, listening to, and developing trust in one another. They're tight community. Our values at my school ask our students to be open-minded to others' perspectives and to be well-rounded in their approach to learning and life. So my TK classes, therefore, that looks like turn-taking and sharing, learning to play nicely. In the middle grades, it means persevering and teaming up for math facts and multisyllabic words. And in my oldest students, it's preparing for a Socratic seminar on a topic where they're going to defend their thinking, or it's refining their arguments for a philosophical chairs discussion based on something they've all read together. So when we, as adults, and a community can access that cooperative learning, it's exactly where the magic happens. We don't just learn facts here. We learn how to be human here. We learn patience when a discussion goes off the rails. We learn humility when our deeply held assumptions are gently challenged over coffee. The legendary Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Forrest Church, captured the raw, beautiful reality of the shared journey perfectly when he wrote, "We are all in this together, and we are not going to get out of it alive. So we might as well help each other along." As Ram Dass says, we are all walking each other home. That is the heart of it, isn't it? Helping each other along. We are a congregation of amateur humans trying to figure out how to love better, live deeper, seek justice harder. You simply can't practice compassion in a vacuum. So let's keep showing up for the holy mess of shared learning. Let's laugh at our blunders. Let's lean into our awkward moments and trust that we are wiser, kinder, and infinitely more whole together than we could ever be alone.
We also bring into this space our worries and concerns, our anger and our fear. We hold in our hearts the people of Lebanon, the people of Palestine, the people of Israel, the people of Iran. We hold in our heart the people of Angola. We hold in our hearts all those who suffer today at the hands of the violence of war. We hold in our hearts today all those who suffer from the violence of disease, poverty, and hunger. We hold the world in our hearts today with compassion, with warmth, with love, with fierce conviction that the world must be different. We hold in our hearts today all of our leaders, whoever they may be, that they hold love in their hearts as they make the choices how to deal with the world. That they look at the hate and the anger and the fear that their actions bring into the world and find a way to repent, find a way to change, find a way to hear the voices and see the hearts of those around them, those people whose lives they are impacting. And we hold ourselves in our hearts today, ourselves and our neighbors and our kin and our friends, all of those who gather, all of those who weep for the world, weep for the pain of the world, struggle with anger and feelings of disempowerment. We hold all of us in our hearts and understand that we are held in a love that is deeper and broader than we can understand, but a love that calls us to be the hands of justice in the world, that calls us to offer a hand of compassion, to offer a hand of strength, to offer a hand of resolve in the face of hatred and fear. We pause now for a moment of quiet, and then we will sing together. And then following the singing, we will remain in quiet for a while. Please join me in a time of quiet reflection. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real. May all beings know peace. May all beings know an end to suffering. May all beings know love. Friends, will you join your holy voices together as we sing Spirit of Life, Fuente de Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. Y al corazón, cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arráyame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. It's a great joy and solace to hear you sing. I want to start today, continue today by inviting you all to call up some memories. Now, it's possible the time that I'm asking you to remember was a painful one for you, and so I hope you can take care of yourself and keep yourself as safe as you need to. Only do this if it feels okay. I want you to think back to your childhood, And if you were raised in a religious community, I'd like you to call up memories of those times, the church or synagogue or temple or community your family was part of, and where you spent your childhood or youth. If you didn't grow up in a religious community, maybe think about your first memories of school or even home. Keep breathing and think back. How did that community teach you how to belong? How did it share with you understanding of its history and its value? How did you learn to do the things the way that the older members of the community did them? How did you learn what language to use there? How did you learn what parts of yourself were welcome? How did you learn what people in your community believed, or what you were supposed to believe? Were there classes for children and adults? Were children part of the regular worship service? Was there a special children's worship? Maybe there was summer Bible school or church camp, youth group, catechism class or shul, potlucks for the family or one-on-one conversations with elders or religious leaders. Maybe you acted out important stories in pageants or in plays. Maybe you sang in the children's choir. What did the hymns and songs you sang and heard teach you about the values of the community? What did the way the building was set up teach you how to be in that space and what the community valued most highly? Were there stories about moral role models? Remember for a moment and take some breath. And if that was a hard place for you to be, remember that you are here now, surrounded by care and love. Take a breath and remember for a while. Take a breath again. Now I'm going to invite you into a different kind of remembering, a different time. This time, I want you to cast your mind back to the first Unitarian Universalist congregation you encountered and participated in. It might even be this one. How did that congregation share with you understanding of its history and its value? How did you learn to do things the way that longer-term members of the community did them? How did you learn what language was okay to use? How did you learn what parts of yourself were welcome? How did you learn what people in your community believed or what you were supposed to believe? Were there classes for adults and children? Did the sermons focus on history or theology or psychology? How did you learn how to be a member? How did you learn about how and why the congregation was involved in the neighborhood or the world around it? Pause for a moment and remember. Okay, I'm going to invite you back into the here and now. Take a breath, shake a little bit if you need to get rid of some stuff. Every religious community in general, has ways to pass on knowledge, ways for members to develop the skills needed to fully participate and fully belong. Every religious community teaches its members what its values are and invites them into deeper understanding and skill at being part of the cloth of the community, maybe changing those values, but inviting you in. Yes, we learn things from books and articles. Yes, we often take classes and read pamphlets, but we also learn about the community and how it works, sometimes smoothly, sometimes very messily, from our interactions with the people around us, from the way that we worship together, from the songs we sing, and the readings that the worship leaders or the class teachers choose. We learn by the way we run meetings and the way we share news and announcements and the joys and sorrows of our lives. We learn what is important in the community in so many ways. On and off over the years since I've been your minister, we have had conversations about how we might revitalize our ministry for children, youth, and families. And lately, we have been talking about revamping and re-energizing our lifespan faith development ministry, our learning ministry for adults and everybody else. It's an ongoing conversation. And in this coming week's newsletter, you'll see a link to a survey asking you about what kinds of things you think we, this community, should be intentionally teaching and learning here, and about the ways the congregation might plan and offer that learning in the months and years ahead. I hope you'll take the time to fill in the survey. It will help the small group of people who are interested in leading the planning of this work to know what directions to explore and what ways of learning to engage. And as I hope was clear from the remembering I invited you to do, learning in religious community in congregations doesn't only take place in a classroom or through the words of your minister's sermon, however beautiful they are. As UU Connie Goodbread writes, everything we do is faith formation. Everything we teach is Unitarian Universalism. The congregation is the curriculum. I want us to think together today about a couple of ways of looking. There's a book written by a woman named Mariah Harris, I'm not sure, called Fashion Me a People, about religious education and faith. And Harris talks about I love wind, but wind combined with dust is a bad thing. Has 3 ways, she identifies 3 ways that congregations teach. Unlike any lists, they're imperfect, but 3 ways that congregations teach their values and who they are. The first is through explicit expression, clearly stated or visually representative things about the congregation's values, our signs, the 7 principles on the rock out front, and that kind of thing. The actual curricula that are taught, the missions and covenants, the values that we teach and uphold, posters and pamphlets. These are explicit ways, explicit expressions of our values, the words we speak when we light and extinguish our chalice, the words we speak when we light our BIPOC candles. These are explicit expressions of our values and missions, explicit ways we teach who we are and how we are together. And then second, there are implicit expressions. These are the norms and the practices that aren't spelled out. How are children and youth included in worship and social time and in other ways? What happens when they show up? How are leaders in the congregation developed? What are the practices of lay pastoral care? Who gets taken care of? What are our expectations around levels of giving or a membership? What are our expectations of who and what members need to do? What is the minister expected to do that isn't laid out in the letter of agreement? That's an important one. What behaviors are allowed or ignored? These are the implicit expressions of the values and understandings of the community, the things that teach us how to be here without it being said, no, you can't do that here, or here we always. Right? And then she identifies a third way that congregations teach, which she calls null expression. And I think in the broader academia, it's called the null curriculum. That's not talked about, it's not referenced, but it's what is not there. What words are never spoken from the pulpit or in the office? What are the things that are not taught? How much room is there to park, and are there enough accessible spaces? Is there or is there not children's programs? What music are we not hearing in our worship service? I want to lift one thing up today, though, about the music today that Chip we had a conversation, and Chip went and found music by female composers, many of whom, especially Florence Price, were people not paid attention to for decades and decades. Musical genius, Florence Price. And so thank you, Chip, for bringing her music to us today. I invite you to... But that's what it means about null expression, whose voices are never spoken of in the pulpit, not because of policy, not because of what's written in the bylaws, but because it just isn't done. What are we teaching each other in that way? And those things can be in conflict with each other. Now, I'm not talking about us here necessarily. I mean, I am, but not only us. You know, we have explicit values about diversity and welcome. We have implicit expressions. How do we greet people? How do I greet a person who doesn't look or act like me when they walk through the door? And whose voices aren't in the pulpit? How might those three things be in alignment with each other or in conflict with each other? This is how we teach each other how to be here in this place or in any community. Again, I want to say, I'm not only talking about us. Think to yourself for a moment, what are the things about this congregation and this community that we share without being explicit about? I'm not going to invite you to shout these out loud, but have you ever bumped into an implicit practice or norm without knowing it? I bet you have. I have. How did you figure out that that was the case? How was it pointed out to you? I hope it wasn't, oh, that's not how we do things. But that's implied sometimes. And I want to invite you to think, what are the words that we don't use? What are the things we don't talk about? What are the assumptions about how we'll live in this community together? Now, I'm not asking you for answers right now, and I'm not trying to cause trouble, honest. Just inviting some deeper reflection in all of us. And looking back over the past months, I realize I've talked with you a lot about learning and education in many different ways, as a spiritual practice, as a way of developing knowledge with our bodies, as well as with our minds. And I want to call back to some things that I shared with you earlier about our bodies and learning. I spoke of Ursula Le Guin's novel, Always Coming Home, last week. But earlier I shared with you that in that book, Le Guin offers a glimpse into the lives of a society of people who live in future California, seemingly post-massive war and destruction, and who live a life more connected to the cycles of the earth and the landscape they inhabit and with the other beings of those places. And at one point, the main character, a young woman, as I said, named Stone Telling, is apprenticing with her community's potter, learning clay and ceramics from him. She says of the man who is guiding her, she says, he thought of very little beside clay and shaping and glazing and firing. It was a good thing for me to learn a craft with a true maker. It may have been the best thing that I have done. Nothing we do is better than the work of hand-mind. When mind uses itself without the hands, it runs the circle and may go too fast. Even speech, using the voice only, may go too fast. The hand that shapes the mind into clay or written words slows thought to the gate of things and lets it be subject to accident and time. The work of our hands, of our bodies, is vital for our understanding of the world, vital for crafting our knowledge of who we are and what is around us and how best to move through the world. We don't just learn things by being taught them directly. We also learn by doing them with our hearts and our bodies. And we don't only learn things when we are being explicitly taught. Our environment teaches us, sometimes unconsciously. Our buildings teach us. Our gardens teach us. The cars we choose teach us. The chairs teach us. How we set the chairs up teach us. And another way to think about this is to think about the difference between knowing about something and knowing how. Knowing about and knowing how. And the different ways and practices needed to develop those different ways of knowing. When you learn to turn flour and yeast into bread, you can read instructions all day, hear the method described over and over again, watch YouTube video after YouTube video, but until you actually do it, and then do it again, and do it again, each time with errors and then more skill, you don't actually know it until you do it. You learn how the ingredients feel as you measure them out. You learn what the dough feels like as you knead it. You know when it is not ready yet. You know the way it pushes back on you when it's done. You know the look and the smell of perfectly risen dough. It is practice that deepens your knowledge and skill, not just memorizing step by step by step. I said this before, but I want to say it again. Musicians are taught this way. We don't learn what notes to sing or what fingers to use or how to purse our lips just so, or how to hold the bow just so, or when to emphasize certain notes, or how to play one rhythm against another rhythm only by being told or by reading about performance practice in a book. We have to sing or play or blow or pluck or bow over and over again, focusing on small things before the piece is in our hands or in our voice. Another way, I'm sort of throwing at you some ways to think as we, as you process those memories you've brought up. One of the things that our UUA and the people in our movement have been thinking and talking about lately is an idea of whole church religious education. As Connie Goodbread said, the congregation is the curriculum. It's not just the classes we teach, but everything we do that teaches. Growing Unitarian Universalist identity in people of all ages through our congregations and communities is a high priority as we answer the call of love. The goal of whole church religious education is to create vibrant and thriving congregations and communities with love and faith development at the center. And so there are many practices within this notion of whole church, RE. We share sacred stories with you. Not just the stories from Scripture or the children's books or the legends or the stories of people's experience, but the history of our congregation, the story of our movement. Who are we? How did we get here? We build learning and understanding by sharing all of these stories with each other. We engage in faithful conversations, small one-on-one, small group conversations that help connect those people not already connected, that help us engage our shared values and examine them together, that help to deepen our capacity as for living out those values as we hear each other's lives. We do this in chalice circles, in book groups, in adult RE classes. With the board over the past few years, we've not just engaged in like voting on this and worrying about the budget and worrying about the building, but we've also engaged in learning each month, usually through a book that we talk about, a book about the work of anti-racism called Do the Work. This year, a book about spiritual leadership as a spiritual practice called Leading with Grace. We build these things through conversation with each other. We engage in creative contemplation. We have contemplative practices as part of our community life. Learning, part of our worship, part of our meetings, our choir, our crafting group, our meditation groups, the labyrinth. We build contemplative practices into the way that we are together and share them with each other. We engage in community making, in building and repairing, in caring for the building, in crafting our labyrinth and our sacred grounds, in these kinds of things, doing things together. I often used to say when I was conducting community choirs that community isn't built by saying we're going to have a community. Community is built by working together. And so we strengthen our bonds of trust with each other by community making and share meaning along the way. And it's not just the labyrinth and the sacred ground, but the building and the finance committee and the facilities committee who make the community together. And by that making collective, we learn each other and learn about ourselves. We engage in public witness, living our values out in the world. We claim our values and act on them publicly. We practice justice making. We make meaningful connections beyond our walls. We here in this congregation do this through our social justice committee and their work through our Share the Plate, through our Meeting the Moments team, who are engaged in the work of the community. And we engage in joyful connection. The UUA's website says that we have fun, feast, sing, laugh, move, and play together. Not because children, well, all of us, need that to learn and grow, but because human beings do. We need to play together to grow. And so I looked at the work that our stewardship team does to bring us together in potlucks and activities, conversations. I look at all of the groups that bring us together, the dining divas, the men's breakfast, that bring us together to celebrate, enjoy, and have fun. Now, my words today are not a critique or a warning or even boasting pride. I hope they are an invitation to all of us. As we are pondering how we craft a ministry of learning and faith development, as you discern about the months and years ahead, it is an invitation to hold in your hearts and your minds and your bodies the understanding that everything that a congregation does, teaches, and shares, that our values are lived out in actions and architecture and patterns of relationship as much as they are in the words from the pulpit or the lyrics of the hymns we sing or the classes we teach. Everything we do shares our values and shows our vision, how we greet newcomers, how we say goodbye to those departing this life, how we organize our volunteers, how we run our meetings, how we relate to our neighbors, how we welcome children and families, how we sing together and laugh together and mourn together and celebrate together. Everything is a curriculum for learning and growth, opportunities to teach and learn and to practice the weaving of the just, kind, embracing, beloved community. May this be always in our heart. Are you ready to sing again? Okay, please rise in body or in spirit. That was kind of serious. So please rise in body or in spirit as we sing We Are by Issei Barnwell. The words are on the screen. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestor. We are the spirit of. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nation. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of age. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Thank you.
We have just a couple of congregational news items this week, but I want to start by thanking everyone who had a hand in today's service. It takes so many people throughout the week and the months ahead of a service to bring it to life and to make it meaningful. And so it was with deep gratitude that I thank everyone who had a role to play in today's service. And with that, Jane Zahn has an announcement for us.
We have a very exciting opportunity. I've never seen this before. The General Assembly meets in June. They have offered a certain select group of congregations, and we are one of them, to for people to come, and they'll cover the cost of registration. So they're going to cover the $350 for registration if you want to go. It's just like, wow. You have to set aside the week of June 14th to 20th in order to participate. It is all virtual. So all you really need is a little curiosity and of what happens at a General Assembly and the week of availability to go, and let me know. And I will tell you how to sign up for it. So it's an amazing, amazing gift.
Miss Bryna?
I was sitting over there looking at this book, Joys and Sorrows book, and I really didn't know what to write in it today at all based on the news of the week. So rather than make an announcement, I'm going to make a request. If you are willing and able, I would love you all to stand and show Reverend Ian some UUCOD love.
Had to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, let's join our voices together as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you all very much, and you're not rid of me quite that quickly. I'm here for 7 more months. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you. And I'm so grateful for the response I have received individually and collectively for my announcement of this week. It warms my heart, and it teaches me how powerful and loving and strong this community is. And I know you're going to be just fine. Just fine. I have an announcement myself. Next week, I will be away on a little bit of a vacation. My colleague and friend, the Reverend Maddie Cefantos, will be here. She will be in the pulpit preaching. Mela's worship associate, Chip, is providing music. Maddie is a wonderful, wonderful person and a fabulous musician, and she's going to sing for you next week as well. So I hope you look forward to that. The week after that, I'm back in the pulpit for our semi-regular Ask Your Minister Anything sermon. So in the newsletter this week, or maybe even before that, there'll be a link to another survey that you can fill in and ask me a question. You can be as impertinent as you would like, and I will do my best to answer all and every question that comes in. You know, there may be some things I can't talk about, but you never know unless you ask, right? What's the null curriculum? So that will be for June 14th. So look for that. If you don't see the survey, you can just send me an email and say, I have a question, and we'll do that. Does that make sense? Okay. I want to share for my benediction these words of the Reverends John Burens and Rebecca Ann Parker. Hope rises. It rises from the heart of life here and now, beating with joy and sorrow. Hope longs. It longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for suffering to be alleviated, for life to flourish in peace. Hope remembers the dreams of those who have gone before and reaches for connection with them across the boundaries of death. Hope acts to bless, to protest, and to repair. Hope can be disappointed, especially when it is individual rather than shared, or when, even as shared aspiration, it encounters entrenched opposition. To thrive, hope requires a home, a sustaining structure of community, meaning, and ritual. Only with such a habitation can hope manifest the spiritual stamina it needs to confront evil, endure through trouble, and hold fast to that which is good. With that hope and that commitment to weaving a community of meaning and care, go in peace, dear ones, to love and serve the world.